It's personal, it's data driven, and most for everyone. We help people discover what their bodies truly need through DNA and blood based personalized nutrition programs, guided by DNA experts, expert nutritionists, and the overall concept is powered by nutrigenomics, the science of how your genes and your nutrients interact with each other. Our mission is simple yet powerful to make every day better for everyone. Whether it's an active young professional struggling to balance health and work, a new mother navigating hormonal shifts, an elderly parent managing lifestyle diseases, or even a teenager trying to build better habits, wellness is for all the walks of life, all ages, and all stages. And speaking of wellness for everyone, today's episode brings the spotlight to a topic that truly deserves more conversation: women's wellness, the hormone edition. Women's health has often been overlooked, misunderstood, and in severe ways understudied. From teenage years to motherhood to menopause, every stage of women's life is deeply influenced by hormones. Yet, most of us grow up without really understanding how these hormones shape our mood, energy, metabolism, weight, and even our mental clarity for that matter. Today, we'll be diving into this fascinating world of female hormones, not to dismiss them as behind the scenes or fatigue, but to understand how they actually hold the key to balance, vitality, and strength. Carl Jung once said, "In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order." And that perfectly describes the world of female hormones. Often unpredictable and ever changing, yet, when understood, they form the calm within the chaos. To help us understand this intricate balance, we have with us Ms. Tavleen Kaur, our very own DNA and nutrigenomics expert at Unlock.fit. Tavleen holds her academic background in genomics and nutrigenomics, and her work beautifully bridges the gap between genetic science and everyday health. With years of experience decoding DNA reports, she has helped countless individuals understand how their genes influence nutrition, fitness, and the hormonal well being. One of Tavleen's most passionate areas of study has been female health and hormones, understanding how genetics, diet, and lifestyle can come together to bring hormonal harmony. And today, she's here with us to shed light on exactly that. So, without further ado, let's welcome Tavleen Kaur to the Health Unlock show. Tavleen, we are so excited to have you with us today. The screen is all yours. Take it away.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Alia. I think we'll quickly begin, right? So, again, as Alia had already introduced the topic for today is women's wellness, the hormone edition. Right, so from your first period till your menopause, how nutrition shapes every hormone phase that you have or that you go through, right? We'll understand that. Moving to the first slide, right? Your hormones write your body's story, right? So the control, they control your mood, they control your metabolism, energy, sleep, skin, fertility, everything. Like literally everything is something that has been controlled by your hormones, right? When they are in rhythm, you don't feel fatigue, you do not have any cravings. But when they go out of rhythm, you will suddenly feel there's so much weight gain, there's brain fog, there's irregular cycle, of course, complemented with fatigue and cravings of food, right? Which again makes this a vicious cycle to get out of when you're trying to manage your weight, when you're trying to manage your nutrition, right? But the truth here is that your plate can rewrite the entire story. That is the best part, right? Food is the first step towards balancing your hormones. Why do we say that? Because food is said to be metabolically active. What does that actually mean? With every bite you take, you send a signal to your hormones, right? So with every bite, if you're eating nutritious food, you're helping your hormones regulate better. But with every junk food that you eat, there's a signaling that goes off, right? With every improper meal timing, the signaling goes off again. The hormonal timeline that every female goes through is something that you will relate to, right? So you can either relate to a particular stage really really well, you must have passed certain stages, or you must be in experiencing the start of a certain stage, right? So your puberty, 20s to 30s, where the fertility is at peak. Then there's pregnancy, perimenopause, and menopause, right? So this is the entire hormonal journey, as and there are different chapters. Each stage has new symptoms, new needs, new nourishment needs, and we have to understand each phase really, really well in order to support it rather than fight it, right? So when you understand each phase really, really well, you understand what nutrition to provide, you understand the symptoms, you know what to look for, right? With that, we're going to move forward and understand the female hormones, right? So all the hormones that you need to know, and how they play a role in their body, right? So we'll start with estrogen first. Estrogen is basically something that helps you keep your periods regular, it helps your skin glow, right? And it also is something that really helps you balance your moods. If it is not functioning properly, or if there is some irregularities in terms of estrogen, you will see that you have irregular periods, right? There is weight gain around the hips, so you usually look like a pear shaped body. Pear shaped body is said to, when you're trying so hard to lose your weight, and you would lose inches around the waist, but you won't be able to lose around the hip. That is because there is a high possibility that you might have estrogen dominance in the body, right? Then mood swings. Extreme mood swings is something which is absolutely related to estrogen imbalance. When we talk about progesterone, progesterone calms your mood, right? Helps you sleep better, supports pregnancy. This is something which is very, very important. If it is not functioning properly, you go through anxiety related issues, you have poor sleep, you have premenstrual syndromes, right? So, again, mood swings, extreme pain in the body is something that you experience. And also, some women experience spotting, right? Near and around their periods. Testosterone gives you energy, gives you strength, and is responsible for your sex drive. Again, testosterone imbalance would result into low energy, low libido, poor muscle toning, right? When we move to your fertility hormones, that is FSH and LH, FSH helps eggs grow and supports your cycle, right? Supports your menstrual cycle. If it is not proper, you have irregular or missed periods. LH, luteinizing hormone, triggers ovulation, right? So this is the time where your egg is released, right, from your ovaries. If this doesn't happen, you have fertility related issues, right, and irregular cycles again. Prolactin is something which is very important, right? So prolactin is produced once you conceive, right, and helps you produce breast milk. If you have higher prolactin levels, you will see that you have missed periods and low sex drive. Moving to next bunch of hormones, we talk about cortisol. Cortisol helps you manage your stress really, really well, helps you stay awake and handle pressure, right? So this is something that the cortisol is really functioning with better, right? But if you have high cortisol, you'll also see that you have belly fat, you have cravings, you have poor sleep, there's anxiety, there's inflammation in the body. Cortisol, if not managed properly, can create a lot of issues, right? When we talk about insulin, insulin helps you balance your blood sugar levels, especially after eating, right? After your meals, insulin helps you balance your blood sugar levels. If your insulin levels are not normal, you will see that there's fatigue, there are cravings, there's weight gain. Again, a lot of issues that most of the women are struggling with. Your thyroid hormones. Thyroid is something which is absolutely, absolutely so important if you're somebody who's looking for, weight loss, especially. So, it controls your metabolism. It controls the amount of energy that you have, and your body temperature regulation is also something that your thyroid hormones are responsible for, right? If they are not functioning properly, you will see that you experience tiredness, you experience hair loss, and again there is weight gain as well. DHEA again boosts your energy, mood, hormones, and keeps them in balance. Same symptoms related to something similar to thyroid hormone. You will experience fatigue, you'll experience low mood, you'll experience low libido. Oxytocin is a love hormone, right? So oxytocin is when a child is born, mother releases oxytocin, right? So this is the love hormone, helps you bond, helps you create that emotional connection. Use If this is not functioning properly, or if you do not have sufficient levels of oxytocin in the body, you feel disconnected and you feel anxious. Leptin along with ghrelin are your hunger and hunger controlling hormones. Leptin tells your brain that you're full, right? So satiety signals is something that leptin actually sends, right? If it is not functioning properly, you will always feel hungry. So for those people who belong to a category where they'll have dinner or they'll have lunch and still would want to eat another meal, there is a possibility that you might be leptin resistant. We move to ghrelin again. Ghrelin tells your brain that you're hungry, right? So, leptin controls that. Brain tells your brain that you're full. Ghrelin tells your brain that you're hungry, right? Sends the hunger signals. So if that is also not functioning properly, there's some mishap there. Constant cravings and poor appetite can be both of this is something that can come up with poor ghrelin levels in the body, right? Melatonin is again something which is very important. Melatonin helps you fall asleep and recover in the night, right? If you do not have sufficient levels of melatonin, you have poor sleep and fatigue. Another interesting fact is something that I would like to mention here is that your UV rays, your blue rays, right? They really affect your melatonin production. So before you go to sleep, just have a 1 hour, downtime. Just ensure that the lights in the house are dull and you're not using your screen so that the melatonin production can start and happen properly and you can fall asleep. Why am I telling you this is because your hormones are so sensitive, right? What you do daily is something which is going to predict what are the levels of hormones that are going to stay in the body and how well they're going to process, right? Moving forward, I'm sure that there are so many symptoms that you would relate to, right? So in different permutation and combinations, right? Constant hunger and weight gain. I mean, I would like some of you to just mention whether you experience any of these combinations. So first one is constant hunger and weight gain. Second one is hair fall, fatigue and cold hands. Third is anxiety, insomnia and PMSing. Fourth is acne, facial hair, irregular cycle. Fifth being low mood, bone related issues, and hot flashes. Sixth, brain fog, sluggish mornings. And seventh being poor satiety and bloating. Right, so any of these seven issues, if you can just put it in the chat box and let me know that what are you facing? What are the issues that you're facing? Yeah. I see Alia
I think
typing.
I'll start with mine. Yeah, I'll start with mine. So, first and third,
Mhm.
actually, not third, I actually miscalculated. First, second, and the last one. These three are something that keeps on going on in like random permutations, like you mentioned. There's
Mhm.
one more thing. Instead of cold hands, sometimes I would have like really warm hands.
Mhm.
So like people would feel, if I touch them, they'll be like, okay, you are running a temperature probably, and extremely again on like two different, ends of spectrum. Cold
Mhm.
hand, severely cold, and then severely hot also. Like it just fluctuates. So yeah,
Absolutely.
these three for me.
So this is because your thyroid again is does not function properly, as we saw in the previous slides. No, that your body regulation, temperature regulation, body temperature regulation is something that thyroid is responsible for, right? Again, let's understand what are the likely hormonal root causes here, right? So constant hunger plus weight gain is again ghrelin, leptin, and insulin. Hair fall, fatigue, and cold hands again thyroid, right? So T3, T4. Anxiety, insomnia, PMSing is responsible because of your cortisol not being okay, your progesterone not being okay. Acne, facial hair, irregular cycle, completely insulin, right? So any probable anyone who's facing PCOS, PCOD will constantly hear the term of insulin resistance, etc. Right? That is because your PCOS and PCOD is nothing but insulin resistance for ovaries, right? So acne, facial hair, and irregular cycle is something that people experience in PCOS and PCOD. When we talk about estrogen not being properly okay, you will experience low mood, you will experience bone related issues, you will experience hot flashes. Why bone related issues? Also because one example that you absolutely would relate to is when a woman is going through menopause or is perimenopausal, you will see osteoporosis because perimenopausal and menopausal is basically slow weaning off of estrogen, right? So you'll see osteoporosis being one of the biggest issue. You will see them sweating constantly, they'll have hot flashes suddenly, again, as Alia mentioned, that you experience extremes, right? So you will feel extremely cold or extremely hot, etc. And mood is something that they can't even navigate through, right? That is because the estrogen is weaning off slowly. Cortisol and melatonin, again, brain fog and sluggish mornings. Poor satiety and bloating is leptin and ghrelin. So it's not always your gluten, it is not always your milk or lactose intolerance. It can be all your hormone related, stuff as well, right? So you can do everything right, but you can probably eat right, and then you would say that my nutrition is absolutely okay. I am working out 7 days a week, but still I'm not able to get it out of my bloating. That is because your hormones are not okay, right? It can be as simple as you not having breakfast because you're following an intermittent diet, right? So intermittent fasting, if you're following, you would skip your breakfast. And breakfast is the key meal for your hormones, right? We had already discussed this in one of our webinars. And you have to just realize that you have to eat for your body, right? You eat for your hormones, support them rather than fight against them, right? So this is where you understand your hormones really really well. You understand what you need to do in order to favor all of them, right? And these imbalances you will have to always keep a check on, right? Moving forward, we go through the stages that we have discussed, right? So we'll start with the very first one, that is puberty, that is your early 20s, the awakening, right? So what is happening in the body? Your body starts to produce sex related hormones, right? Your cycles start to begin. This is where the menarche begins. You start having your menstrual cycle. What are the common symptoms that signs and symptoms that you experience here is basically, you will see that acne is coming up. If you're lucky, you will not experience a lot of acne, but for people, there's a possibility that you might get a lot of acne. They can aggravate a lot, right? Then you have mood swings. You have irregular periods sometimes if you're not taking care of yourself. Sugar cravings increase during this time. There is breast tenderness around your cycle, and there's fatigue also that you experience, right? What is supposed to be done here, right? We just need to understand how to navigate that. How do we nutritionally take a charge of it, right? So, what are the hormones in charge? Again, as we've already discussed, what are the roles and responsibilities of all the hormones here? Estrogen, progesterone, insulin, and growth hormone play a major role, right? What are the nutritional reset rhythms that you need to take care of? You have to balance your blood sugar levels, right? So pair carbohydrates with protein and fiber, right? Your meal has to be of this particular constitution, right? So you have to have carbohydrates, then you have to have good chunk of protein and good amount of fiber as well. Hydration is the key. If you want, you want to ensure that you're supporting your detox and always staying glowing, you have amazing skin, right? You have to ensure that you detox. Now, how do you stay hydrated? First of all, you can just have your normal water. I really like to add coconut water to the hydration bit, right? Because it has electrolytes, it helps you hydrate much better, right? So you can have your lemon water, you can have your coconut water, you can probably add chia seeds and basil seeds to your water and have it. This is something which is going to help you support your detox and in fact have a really glowing skin, right? What are the micronutrients do you need in during puberty? Is basically zinc to help you keep your skin clear and have healthy cycles. Magnesium for calmer moods, because this is where you actually start to feel how your cycles function, right? And you are this is very new to you. This is very new to your body, right? So how do we support that as well, right? So we support it with magnesium. It is going to help you calm down your mood as well. And we also support it with B vitamins, because you require good amount of energy, you require good amount of focus. You are during you are in your school, late school, like 11th and 12th, and probably in getting into your college. So this is where a lot of energy goes off, and we need to support that as well. Gut health is something which is absolutely really important, right? So include a lot of fermented foods, and this is something which is going to help you balance your estrogen levels. Functional tip is breakfast with protein. As I'd already mentioned, that breakfast is the key meal for your hormones, right? So breakfast with protein along with some healthy fats is something which is going to give you good energy throughout the day, right? A good start to the day as well, and throughout the day you will feel no crashes in terms of energy. With protein, if you're a non-vegetarian, you can go for eggs, right? And then you can add nuts and oil seeds. If you're a vegetarian, you can probably have sprouted moong dal ka chila, and then again you can keep your nuts the same way. One thing that I like to tell you here is caffeine is a big no-no for your hormones, right? So caffeine really disrupts your hormones. So no coffee, no tea along with your breakfast. Give it a gap of 30 to 40 minutes at least, right? And if you're somebody who's not acquainted, or who's not used to having caffeine altogether, try and stay away from it. You will, your hormones are going to thank you for that, right? So completely go off caffeine, because it doesn't help your hormone. Next is the reproductive age, right? So your 20s to 30s, mid 30s, right? Completely is what really happens. This is the fertility peak, right? But you're also juggling work, right? This is where your career starts to form, and then there are a lot of things that are happening in your entire daily life, right? Stress also peaks, and you have your cycles continuing, right? What are the common symptoms that you can experience here? Of course, PMSing, bloating, fatigue, stress craving, thyroid imbalance, skin changes happening, right? Because again, you're at a career peak, you are managing your work, you're managing your education, and then everything is again new, right? The environment is completely changed, right? That really spikes up your cortisol. What can we do here? So, your hormones that are responsible here are estrogen and progesterone, along with cortisol and thyroid, right? Fuel for your fertility and hustle paradox in 20s and 30s is basically proteins, right? So include a lot of eggs, lentils, lean meats if you something, if you are a non-vegetarian, because it is going to help your thyroid metabolism, right? Iron and folate is something which is going to help you prevent fatigue. Healthy fats is something which is going to help you with your fertility and mood, right? Adaptogens like ashwagandha is something that really helps you manage your stress. Eat every 3 to 4 hours, right? So this is something which stabilizes your cortisol. So you can have like small meals in any which ways during your 20s and 30s. The satiety is something that you're still figuring out, right? You need to understand that, okay, I'm expenditure, the expenditure of the energy is so much higher as compared to, the food that you're eating. So I would suggest that every 3 to 4 hours, have small meals. That is something which is going to keep you going. And again, it is not going to spike your cortisol, right? Cycle sync tip is basically luteal phase of your menstrual cycle have more protein, follicular phase have more complex carbohydrates. This is something which is going to support your cycle. Moving forward to, again, another phase, right? That is basically your pregnancy and postpartum, which can happen anytime between 20s to 30s, and in fact now, till mid 40s as well. What is happening? Your hormone surges, right, to support the baby. You have huge nutrient demands because now you're eating for two, right? You're actually a supply for your baby, right? So the nutrients you have to supply to them. Now, common symptoms that you experience during this time is basically fatigue, nausea, mood swings, hair loss, nutrient depletion, low mood after delivery, right? Usually you would see that, during pregnancy, the hair is something which is absolutely growing. You have amazing nails growing. That is something that really happens. But you will also see that, there are women who go through extreme and terrible pregnancies because they have, a lot of morning sickness, etc., right? So this again depends on how your hormones look like initially, and secondly, what are your micronutrient levels before you conceive, right? So that is why preconception nutrition is something which is important. And once you've conceived, during your pregnancy, nutrition is also something which plays an important role, right? Because all of these micronutrients are, going to ensure that, they are going to signal the development of your baby, right? So this is something that you always need to keep in mind. Okay. So what can be done, right? So hormones that are involved here are again estrogen, progesterone, prolactin, oxytocin. How do you nourish your bodies? Iron and folate is something that every gynec will tell you to take, right? So and again, the catch here is that, with people who cannot metabolize iron, right? The type of supplement changes, right? So with a DNA report only, you will be able to identify what type of iron you metabolize, right? Whether you maintain good levels of iron or whether you maintain good levels of folate is something that you won't be able to answer through a blood report. This is where you need a DNA report. This is where you need a personalized intervention. This is where you understand that what type of supplement is going to actually work for you, right? Then we come to calcium and vitamin D as well. It is something which is really good for the bones. It is really good for the recovery, right? Hydration for milk production and energy. Postpartum depletion is real. Your micronutrients get really depleted. So again, not only during pregnancy, post pregnancy, what are you eating is something which is also very essential to understand, right? So replenish your iron, DHA, EPA, your omegas, B12 and D3 as well, right? Moving forward, we have perimenopausal stage, right? This is depending on your cortisol levels and depending on, how you have been, how your like when did your mother come through this stage, or when did your grandmother, had this stage. Again, this is something which is also genetic. You might experience an early perimenopause because it has an influence from your mother and your grandmother, right? So, what happens in perimenopausal is basically your hormone levels start to swing. Cycles become irregular. Common symptoms are brain fog, sleep related issues, extreme irritation, bloating, weight gain, irregular periods, right? Your hormones go for a whack, and everything that you do not want starts happening here, right? Because you're losing your estrogen, right? But again, still we can manage it, and we can understand how to smoothly go through perimenopause and menopause, right? So let's understand what are the hormones that are involved here: estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, again, right? What are the nutritional balances that you need to take care of? Cruciferous vegetables, right? So your broccolis, your capsicum, your cabbages, try and include that, right? Because it will help you detox excess estrogen, right? Because estrogen imbalance is something which is happening in the body right now, and you need to navigate that, right? So detoxifying is something which is going to really help you. Protein and fiber again is the crucial thing here, right? So it is going to help you preserve your muscle and help you balance your sugar. With perimenopausal women, you will see that they might, end up being diabetic, they might end up being, hypertensive, or they might have anything related to, the all the autoimmune related diseases start to trigger during menopause or perimenopause. Along with that, osteoporosis is something that really, really gets triggered if you're not taking care of your nutrition, right? So, magnesium and B6 for better mood and good sleep, omega 3 to calm your inflammation down, limit sugar and alcohol because it prevents estrogen dominance, right? Now, bonus tip here would be add phytoestrogens like soya, lentils, and this is something which is going to help you smoothen the transition, right, to slow weaning off of estrogen. Moving forward, we have menopause, right? That is the fifth stage. That is the last stage in terms of your hormones being extremely active, right? Can happen between anywhere from 45 to 55 years. What is happening in the body? Your periods completely stop. Body transitions to a new hormonal balance, right? You have hot flashes, you have night sweats, low libido, joint pain, slower metabolism, dryness in the entire body, and your mood dips, right? What can be done here, right? So again, let's understand the hormones that are responsible here, or like the hormones that play a key and important role here is estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, right? Phytoestrogens, they gently support you, right? You have to have your estrogen levels managed really, really well. So phytoestrogens really help you here. Calcium and vitamin D to actually prevent the risk for osteoporosis. Gut health needs to be taken care of, right? So this is a time where you completely do not normalize having bloating, acidity, diarrhea, constipation, right? This is the time that you really understand that these symptoms are not going to really work for you, and something might end up wrong, right, in terms of inflammation, etc. So we have to really fix that here. And again, an extra tip would be that you have should have low glycemic and anti-inflammatory meals, because this is something which is going to help you gracefully age, right? It is going to take care of your skin, it is going to take care of your gut, etc., right? So this is also something which is going to take care of the entire hormonal balance that comes after the menopause, right? So this is where your entirely estrogen is very, very low, progesterone is again something which is very, very low, LHFSH also are really, really going low now, right? So it is a very subtle hormonal stage. It is not as dynamic as fertility or your pregnancy looked like, right? So this is fairly static, but we still need to take care of the hormones here, right? Okay. Moving forward, just wanted to help you all understand that there's each hormone is dependent on each other, right? So every hormone is dependent on each other. There's a hormone hierarchy there. Who is the boss? Let's just understand that. Cortisol is something which is one hormone that can disrupt a lot of other hormones, right? Whenever you're stressed, your blood sugar level rises, so cortisol impacts your insulin. Then whenever your blood sugar spikes, it impacts your thyroid hormones, right? So thyroid starts to slow down. When your thyroid starts to slow down, your periods suffer, right? So this is, you will see that a lot of women would complain of early menopausal symptoms, or perimenopausal symptoms. This is because they've been constantly stressed through their entire life, right? So when you're constantly stressed, cortisol leads to insulin leads to thyroid, and thyroid leads to periods not being normal, or your estrogen weaning off, and which is again leading to either of these stages, that is perimenopausal or menopausal. How can we fix that? Have balanced meals, support your stress support is something which is very important. So you have adaptogens like ashwagandha, or you can take magnesium, right? So this is something that you have to really take care of. Ditch the sugar, ditch the ultra processed foods, eat protein and fat rich meals daily, right? Moving forward, what are the three pillars of hormonal nutrition, right? Let's just understand that. So balance your blood sugar levels. How do you ensure that you're balancing your blood sugar levels? Is basically a protein and a fiber rich diet along with fats in every meal, right? So you have to have good fats, you have to have good amount of fiber and good amount of protein, right? This is something which is the key. If you just start to ensure that you have these three predominantly present in your diet, you will see that your hormones are improvising, right? You feel much better in terms of the symptoms and all also that we had discussed earlier. Manage your stress, right? So yoga, journaling, whatever really helps you, adaptogens, mindful meals, resting, Sleeping here is something which is very very important, because sleep really helps you, you know, recover so much better, right? So this is something that I would ask you to, or rather urge you to, you know, really take care of or be mindful of in terms of your sleeping, because it is going to help you manage your stress much much better. Support detox, right? So you have your cruciferous vegetables, ensure that your gut health is absolutely taken care of. You do not normalize any of the symptoms like bloating, acidity, constipation, or diarrhea. And your hydration is something which is the key here, right? Probably include coconut, water along with some chia seeds and basil seeds, something which is a really good and nice hydrating drink here, right? Hormones love consistency, right? In every meal and every movement and every sleep that you have, right? As I already told you that melatonin depends on what you, how would your melatonin look like during the night will depend on what you do 2 hours before you go to the sleep, right? You might have extremely low levels of melatonin, or you might have extremely optimal levels of melatonin depending on what you did exactly 2 hours before you went to bed, right? So this is where we need to be completely mindful, right? So we need to have a routine that works for us, right? So hormones, they love consistency. Since female hormones are so dynamic that, you know, they keep on changing, you have to ensure that meals are something that are really taken care of in terms of, you know, protein, fat, and your fiber. Along with that, movement is something which is absolutely taken care of, and sleep is the major and the most important thing here, right? Then I mean, choose a nutrition shift per week. This is something that I would ask you to do, right? You know, small steps every day is something which is going to be really helping you, and adding over, right? Consistency is something which is going to build something. Now add protein to your breakfast, include cruciferous vegetables, and take your omega-3s regularly, because it is the best source for omega-3. Your omega-3s is the best anti-inflammatory source, right? So this is something which is going to help you take care of your inflammation. Small changes, big hormonal wins is something that I would end my, webinar with, and I'll pass down the slides now to Alia to further help you understand that what offers we have for you today. But just ensure that, you know, hormones love consistency. This is one message that I want to leave you all with.
Okay, wow. I mean, thank you so much, Tavleen. If you could just go back on the previous slide itself, I really want to take a moment and, like appreciate the journey that you have, walked us through. So obviously, all of us who are, listening or listening on behalf of our partners or mothers or, sisters or grandmothers, like you said. So I think we all have witnessed these stages, and us, we have been through these stages, like we are standing at one and we're looking forward to one, and we've been through one. And everything that you said was like relating so hard in terms that I was able to relate with the symptoms. Why? Because I did not know about it, simply. There was no education around it. Not even my mother, not even like a doctor would come up and tell me, okay, this is normal, you're feeling this, this is normal, or maybe there is a way to fix this, or maybe this cannot be a normal and you can just take care of these few things and it can work around you. So for one, like feel really like in control of understanding that, standing here where I am, how my hormonal picture is looking, and in the future, how am I supposed to sort of be a little more mindful in order to sort of maybe at the lack of word, but I'm using the word tame. So I want to tame my hormones, so to so that they don't go out of control every time. And I feel sorry for myself not being able to do that. And I would absolutely love to pass on the information for even young girls, especially because they suffer it like really bad, because that's the first time experiencing something like this. And if you don't have a mother around you, or a teacher, or like a mentor around you to tell what's going on, I think this could actually be the start on like a negative side of in increased levels of cortisol, if you talk in the terms of hormones. So yeah, I think personally, I mean, out of all the topics of webinar that we have covered so far, I think this one had spoken the louder to me, and able to relate. I'm sure that whoever will we have few people who are watching the webinar with us, and a lot of them who will be watching, since it's going to be there on our YouTube. I'm going to highly recommend it to every girl I meet of every age group. So actually, thank you for helping us understand that हम बात करने में normally we just casually talk about hormones, and like I said in the introduction, they are usually said as the bad villains responsible for bad things. But they're actually trying their best. It's us who are, not letting them do their actual jobs. So it really, really, eye-opening session. I've absolutely loved it. We'll get to more questions. I think we will have few in the chat section. But for people who are there with us today, and whoever would be watching, I would quickly like to, walk you through the few programs that we also offer. So what all Tavleen, I mean, that's I'm 100% sure that it's a wonderful summary of everything. But again, implementing all of that in your everyday life, and especially with having like a for girls between 20 to 30 to 40 window who are peak at their working career stage, be like a new mother, struggling postpartum, etc. It could become a little difficult to manage everything and all of it at once, especially if you have just started doing it. So we have multiple programs that support that journey. There's this blood test that we offer, and there's actually this combination that we would recommend you to. It is called PCOD specific markers blood test, but it majorly covers the parameters related to female health. We'll be checking those out in the next slide, and we would recommend it to combine with NutriPro. NutriPro is something where we have like an expert nutritionist. We have experts like Tavleen, and we have other experts, wonderful experts on board who will be hand holding you and guiding you through this journey of hormone, where you actually do not have to lose your brain cells over it. And depending on the findings of your results and reports of blood test or DNA or whatnot, they would be the one doing the backtracking for you, and just like coming to you with solutions, which obviously makes it very, very easy. The only part that you will be responsible for is adherence, right? So if you can go on to the next slide, Tableen. I would like you to show the program a little bit more about NutriPro. So the program basically focuses on unlocking the best combination of nutritional profiling exclusively for you. It includes in-depth study of your eating patterns and lifestyle choices, and helps adopt sustainable changes. How we do that? We do that via including a very comprehensive health assessment that we offer. You have to fill that health assessment, let us know about yourself. You will be getting one-on-one consultations with our expert nutritionist, clinical nutritionist, or any specific category issue that you are struggling with. We have people who can take care of those situations. You'll be getting it every 15 days. These are virtual. You don't have to go to any clinic or anything. You can just do it at the comfort of while cooking in the kitchen, while just lounging in your living room. So that's very accessible and convenient. Depending on the findings of your diagnostic results, which could either be a blood report or a DNA report, like Tavleen mentioned, you will be getting a personalized nutrition plan. So basically what happens is everything is layered up. So like it depends on the tier of personalization that you're going for, right? So obviously we would advise you to go for the highest tier, which is the DNA report. But that's completely okay if you just want to go for the blood report as well. So your blood report, your DNA report, your consultations, your health assessment data, all of that is overlapped, right? So you understand the amount of critical information and important points that we get about you, and that helps prepare a power punch solution for you, which obviously has to work, because that is your data that we are working on. It's not going to be a one size fit all solution. It's going to contain solutions only and exclusively developed for you, depending on your report findings. So all of that is that is the process how we actually arrive at this personalized nutrition plan. Interesting part, this is not going to be a sedentary diet plan. It evolves with your journey. So let's say for 15 to 20 days you have tried the diet, and some things have wonderfully worked out for you, something might not have worked out for you. You have consultations with your experts and nutritionists, and you can make the changes. You can make it's flexible. You can make the changes while keeping the essence and the importance of your health goal alive. And that is what makes it very, very interesting. You evolve in your health journey, and your diet plan evolves. Your communication, your with the expert, that evolves. That lays down a very meaningful result and approach towards a healthy lifestyle and a sustainable adaptation. Few other things that you will be getting, along with the program would be chat support with the experts. So even though you get to speak to them, every 15 days on a virtual call, but you'll be constantly connected with them on WhatsApp. So if you have, like, in a dire situation, need like a quick tip or suggestion, you can chat, put it on the chat, and they will get back to you, on that. Exercise videos are there in the app. Again, like Tavleen mentioned, one of the pillars would be, having constant movement. The personalization of it happens again with via DNA. With the help of a DNA test, we can actually tell you that, okay, you should do these three exercises. These three are, fit for you to give you short results according to your genes, right? If there is adherence from your end. But in general, no exercise has ever hurt anybody. So, light exercise recommendations, etc., all of that is there in the video. Videos are there in the app, and your expert, whoever you'll be connected to, they'll be recommending, based on your case, what would be good for you. Again, progress tracking and condition management, this is something that will happen together with the assigned, expert, and by the app as well. So you can, like, record your entire archive of the health journey. So let's say you came with us with like a pre-diabetic situation. I'm just quoting a case. So you can, keep mentioning your, growth while you're following the diet, how your growth is looking, right, in terms of HbA1c levels. Talking about the charges of it, like we said, this is like a very, basic starting in, interesting program, and we feel that everybody should at least try it for, some time. You can start at least just 2,999 a month, which is, if you, do the math, not even the girl math, just regular math, that's under 99 rupees a day, and I think that's 100% affordable for, quite a few, many of us. Moving ahead, the Nutri Pro program is, like I said, is the nutritional support, but it can be, enhanced and made more personal and personalized by doing a blood test, specific blood test. So blood tests are open for people to choose, but since we are talking in the through the lens of, women health today, so the blood test we'd be recommending you out of our panel is called the PCOD blood test, and we have two versions of it, PCOD profile. um, One is the basic profile and one is the advanced profile, and obviously these are bifurcated by the number of parameters that we check for. So I think I'll need Tableen's help also here. Even in the basic one, which has 65, blood markers, and the parameters are very specific to understanding the hormonal shifts, I think we have covered a lot of important parameters, right? I think the thyroid is there, diabetes is there to check the blood sugar, which she has mentioned, and infertility, is there. I'm sure there are multiple, you can see within the bracket there are multiple parameters, included with that. And similarly with the advanced one, we have added a few more in the, these basic parameters. And there's one more that has been introduced called steroid hormone. There's an infertility check also. I think the hormones that you talked about, FSH or something, right? Yeah, yeah. Those are like really, those become really crucial for women who are like planning to conceive, or just in general want to know that, what is that timeline for them looking like, right? Because it tells a lot about egg production and, fertility chances, etc., etc. So all of that you can see that, it's covered. So we have actually curated these blood tests by, speaking to experts. Tavleen herself has been a part of, curating these blood tests, and we have handpicked those, elements and parameters which we feel are really really crucial in, hinting towards the hormonal health of a woman. So again, like you can see the market pricing, if you like, go and check for these parameters combined together, you will see crazy listings everywhere at, 1 mg, or, any other, brand for that matter, diagnostic brand. But at the app of unlock.fit, you can actually explore. There are three, versions of this, so you can go anytime and, check these parameters. All of our blood tests have free home deliveries, service. So phlebotomist will be coming to your place, no extra hidden charges. Whatever you see on the screen, that's just it. And one of the most interesting thing with any of our blood tests is that you will be getting a complimentary consultation. So irrespective of the fact that whatever blood test you take, you can actually get like a consultation with a clinical nutritionist who actually understands every single parameter and would be able to, guide you in the direction of if there are any risks, or if they're, okay to go. In case of, again, the female hormone markers. Our nutritionists completely understand, the panel that is there, and they are able to guide. And of course, we always have the support of, Tableen. She's a DNA expert, but she understands clinical blood reports as well, inside out. So moving on with these blood tests. So basically, these are the two programs that we'll be recommending. If you know somebody who is struggling with, these challenges, at least, go check out the program. If you have any query or doubt, just ring us up. We'll be more than happy to help you. We'll actually be able to pinpoint in the direction which you would want to go. That would actually benefit them, whatever stage of, hormonal, whatever hormonal stage they are in their life. Yeah. So moving on, I'll just take few more minutes before we jump onto the Q&A. How to, avail these programs. Again, like I mentioned, in running, everything is available on our app. Our entire, service is planned and available via the app. Just to scan this QR code, or just go to App Store or Apple Store, write our brand's name, unlock.fit, and you'll be able to download the app. It's completely free. Register yourself, take advantage of, the things that are available for free there, and explore the programs, the blood test, all of it. Moving on, we have yeah, so this is an interesting bit. So we have a very live and active community, a WhatsApp community called Unlock Health, and it's a safe space to understand, explore, and unlock health insights, get experts tips, and stay updated on upcoming wellness events. Um, we do multiple motivational activities on our community as well. Just being part of it, you'll keep, we'll be feeding you information, but not like in the manner that, it's getting too much, but anything that is relevant and, subjugated to issues that you would want to talk about, right? So we have, conversations and engagements like those on our community. Along with that, we have a separate, group where we host AMAs, which is Ask Me Anything, and we have multiple experts at unlock.fit who are available for a certain window, and it's completely free. I'm telling you, it's one of like a golden opportunity. So you can just, join that particular community, come up with your questions. We have like topics for every week, but we are not, restricting you to that. If you have any question, just come up, ask your question, take advantage of that. Experts are there, and it's completely free, even that AMA sessions, right? So to join the community, again, we have the QR code on the screen. You can just, scan it and be a part of our community. We'll be more than happy to, have you with us. And I think I'll just spill the beans here. We have, like, because of Diwali, we have an interesting, surprise gift, whatever you call it, coming up in our community. So we request anybody who's watching to, if you want to explore that, please join it. We'll be dropping the details on by I think 10th or 11th of October. But yeah, so that's a interesting part. Moving on, I think we have the Q&A. Acha. So yeah, of course, like I said, if you're confused, you're somebody who has enjoyed and benefited from this webinar, but still have a lot of questions, because I understand that it's not possible to sum up this conversation in like a 1 hour talk. So I'm sure if you have any questions, or you know somebody who would be interested in asking the right questions, or are struggling, please reach out to us. We have our number support, on the screen, and support at the rate unlock.fit. You can write to either of us. Depending on the type of query that we receive, we will be directing it directly to our experts, and they'll be getting back to you with, answers, and help you understand, and feel more, empowered. And again, these are all completely free. We're not trying to, get you to get a product from us, but we're just wanting to start the conversation. And I'm telling you this, like, women wellness, this is first of the many, episodes that are coming. We'll be targeting several other, topics that people don't actually talk about. It always get brushed off. But yeah, I think it will be really amazing to see, all of those conversations coming to light. With that, I will step back from here, and I will hand over the mic back to Tavleen. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and tell here, or you can also put it in the chat box, and Tavleen would be more than happy to take it. During the time of our, promotion for this webinar, we did receive few questions. So I think we'll have those in the chat box by now. So maybe Tavleen, you can start with those. Meanwhile, others can just, chip in with their questions. Yeah.
Okay, Anya, we are seeing questions. If you can just mention those questions, I'll be happy to answer. Okay, we have one. Hi, what's your take on seed cycling? Is it effective for balancing the hormones? So, there are no such clinical studies where we see that, seed cycling is helping a lot of women. But in my experience, in my clinical experience, I've seen that, women who start their day with, seeds and, are taking care of the good fats that you're getting, that is getting inside the body, it does really help balance your hormones, right? So, even though we need more clinical data, which we need for a lot of other things as well, but, my experience as throughout these years, I have just realized that seed cycling really really helps a lot of women for two different reasons. First, again, you have your fats, and then again some seeds help with zinc and selenium, etc. So they really help you produce your hormones and like give the right signaling. As I told you that food is metabolically active, it signals your hormones really really well, right? So again, seed cycling for me, as far as I've seen, is completely effective in terms of balancing your hormone, right? How are phytoestrogens like those found in soya and affect your hormonal balance in men, right? So phytoestrogens in men, there were clinical studies that had suggested that you should not be eating a lot of soya because in again you might experience certain problems, right? But that's not true. Right, body has a tendency to detoxify phytoestrogens really really well, right? If you're taking care of your hydration and if you're taking care of your cruciferous vegetable intake, this should not impact you. Plus, for people who are vegetarians, right, and they need to complete their protein intake, soya does really help, right? So no, as such, there's no problem with you guys consuming phytoestrogens, right? One thing is that soya seeds is something that a lot of people do not consume, and this is where phytoestrogens are there at the in the maximum amount, right? If you're consuming your chunks and all, you should not have any issues. Next question is, what are the most common signs that a woman hormones imbalance? Again, all the things that we spoke about in the initial slides, right? Here, I'm just going to portray the slides here. You can see that, these are all the factors here, right? These, each one of these is something which indicates towards your hormones not being balanced. It can be constant hunger, weight gain, hair fall. Again, I'm just going to mention the hormones here that they relate to as well here, right? So your constant hunger, your weight gain, your hair fall, fatigue, cold hands, anxiety, insomnia, PMSing, low mood, bone related issues, etc., right? So all of this that has been mentioned on the screen are the common signs and symptoms for a woman knowing that their hormones are not balanced, right? How does hormones influence weight gain and weight loss, right? So as we spoke about leptin and ghrelin, right? As you can see in the slides as well right now, that poor satiety, bloating, these are the hormones that really help you signal in terms of if you're hungry or if you're full, right? As we can start with leptin. Again, leptin tells your brain that you're full, and again, if it is not functioning properly, you'll feel hungry always. But ghrelin, on the other hand, tells your brain that you're hungry, and again, if it is not functioning, you again experience constant cravings and poor appetite, right? So this is something that you get to experience, right? So this is how your hormone influence the weight gain as well as the weight loss. For people who have leptin resistance or ghrelin resistance, they will see that there's so much problem in terms of losing weight, right? Or during menopausal, there's so much problem in losing weight. We just need to look at the root causes in terms of the hormones as well. Yeah. Okay. Another question is how to manage acute cause of hormonal imbalance. Again, very simple. Start with your breakfast. Have proteins, carbohydrate. Have your proteins, have fiber, and along with that, have good amount of fats. Complex carbohydrates is something which is absolutely a-okay, right? So there should not be a problem with that. Start eating the right food. Start eating whole foods, and again, how to ensure that your imbalance is something which is taken care of. First of all, try and understand what exactly the root cause, right? Where the problem lies. Once you understand the problem, you'll be able to fix it very easily. How can a woman differentiate between normal PMS, hormonal disorders like PCOS and PMDD? Okay, very interesting question. PMSing, it's the time frame that you really have to look at, right? So if the time frame is really short and it is around your cycle, and it is bearable pain, bearable mood swings, etc., you realize that it is PMSing. If the time frame is much much bigger, and you have certain experiences in terms of unbearable pain, your spotting is something that you see, or you get your biomarkers checked as well, right? So if they are not balanced, that you are more likely facing issues related to PCOS and PMDD. Okay, how do estrogen and progesterone influence your mood, energy, and metabolism, right? So again, as I told you here, we've already discussed this, that estrogen and progesterone, they really play a role in terms of calming your mood, supporting your sleep, right? So if you must have realized that on days when you're not sleeping really really well, your mood is something which is absolutely not okay, right? You're a little irritated, etc. So estrogen, progesterone, they play an important role in terms of your sleep cycle. They play an important role in terms of your mood balances. If they're not okay, you will see that it is going to impact your mood, it is going to impact your energy, and again, it is going to impact your metabolism as well, right? Okay, moving forward, how to deal with stagnant weight in perimenopause? Okay, stagnant weight in perimenopause is actually preventative, right? You need those fats, and you do not need to go through an extremely weight loss journey, right? What I would suggest is that during perimenopause, if you want to lose weight, you do it before menopause and start taking care of it as you're approaching the age, because losing weight during perimenopause, it becomes extremely difficult, right? And one thing that I'll tell you here is that take care of your nutrition, right? Have balanced meal. That should be the key goal here, right? Because you are at risk for so many things. You are at risk for developing type 2 diabetes, you are at risk for developing osteoporosis, you are at risk for developing hypertension, right? So there are so many things that you really need to take care of. Just ensure that your major goal here is to eat in a healthy way, a balanced meal, and avoiding all of these problems that can come to you, right? Okay. How does hormones influence fatigue and mood swings? Again, the same thing, right? So your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all of these are responsible for your mood, they're responsible for your fatigue, and they're responsible for how you're balancing all of these hormones is something which is going to dedicate how you feel, and along with that, how does your fatigue look like, right? So they play an important role. And since you're aware that your hormones are something which is going to impact you in so many ways, just ensure that you take care of the three pillars that we have spoken about. Be consistent with it, right? So consistency in terms of movement, consistency in terms of eating your meals right is something that you really have to take care of, and sleep is again non-negotiable, right? Okay. Um, what are some natural ways to regulate irregular periods without medication? Start with movement first. Irregular periods are something which usually are because of insulin problems, right? So if your insulin is not functioning properly, if your thyroid is not functioning properly, you just need to take care of that. Insulin, try and avoid processed and packaged food. Thyroid, start with fats, have selenium rich food, right? This is going to help you support your thyroid hormones, right? So do these 3 to 4 things, and you will see that your period starts to become a lot more regular. Movement again is the key. The more you move, the better cycles you will have. Thyroid health, you'll have to take care of that. Iron levels, you have to take care of that, right? So just ensure that again you're having a very balanced meal, you're not lacking any micronutrient, which is again going to take care of your issue. um Okay, I try to follow a healthy diet during other cycles, but all of that good habits take a toll when I enter my luteal phase. I crave unhealthy junk and eat a lot of it, as well as sugary foods, right? So is it okay to crave and eat all of that for one cycle? Okay, so it's not one cycle, it is a phase, right? So you have a luteal phase, you have a menstrual phase, right? You have a follicular phase. So if you're asking me that if you can eat it during your menstrual phase, if you can eat it when you're menstruating, I would say there are healthier choices that are available. This is something which is going to worsen the symptoms any which ways, right? So eating high sugar is not going to really help you. Eating salty food is something which is not going to really help you. It might even aggravate acne. It might, worsen the PMSing symptoms. What you can do is that, whatever you like to eat, right, in terms of junk, you probably like to eat pasta, pizza, or probably like a brownie, right? contact your nutritionist, and probably speak to one at unlock.fit in the community, and they really help you understand what sort of nutrition you need and how you can swap it, right? So for brownies, I am somebody who really craves for sweet things. Right now what I've done is like sweet potato, chickpea, I make a paste out of it. Like I'll put banana and I'll bake it. So you could have good amount of chocolate brownies. You add cocoa powder, you can probably add dark chocolate as well, which is magnesium rich and really helps you with your PMSing, right? So a swap in terms of ingredients is something that I'll recommend here. And you can curb your cravings and ensure that you're eating healthy still. I also feel a lot of guilt and do self blaming for it. Exercise also completely stopped during. Okay, so do you understand that there's also something called as cycle syncing your workouts, right? Even though again it requires a lot of clinical data to be understood whether it is going to work for a bunch of women or not yet, but what you can do here is that whenever you're during your periods, just go for basic stretches, just go for a normal walk. That is something that you can do. If you have extremely painful periods, so that is a sign that you need to get checked, right? So understand that you have to check your thyroid, you'll have to check your iron levels, etc. We need to understand why you're having such painful periods, because it is not normal. Having painful periods is not normal, right? So I will say that go for light exercises like probably stretching or yoga or normal walking, and don't feel guilty about it, right? This is where your hormones are really doing the work and you need to rest, and that is the best thing that you can do for your body, right? Now that you're much more aware that that is the need of the hour, you probably do it without guilt, right? So just rest and give that support to the body. uh, can you suggest how can I reduce cortisol levels in my body so that it doesn't affect my hormonal cycle? Absolutely. Cortisol is all related to stress. So anything and everything that you can think about in terms of stress management is something that you need to start doing, right? And cortisol really also increases inclusive markers in the body, right? So go on an anti-inflammatory diet. Understand if you're gluten or lactose intolerant. That is something that you need to take care of. That really take care of, right? So first of all, anti-inflammatory diet, high antioxidant rich diet is something that you can do, and cortisol detox is also something that we can really start with. Along with that, apart from nutritional needs, what I would also recommend is that try and pick a sport or like anything that helps you release serotonin, right? Any happy hormone, right? So if you like to dance for a while. If you like to play some sport, just go and play some sport. You do not have to constantly overthink or stress about work, etc. You just have to have a normal work life balance, right? So controlling your stress is something that I would recommend, and anti-inflammatory and antioxidant rich diet is something that I highly recommend for ensuring that your cortisol levels are always in check. Yes. Do we have any other questions?
I just have a quick question, not from you, Tavleen.
Mhm.
Aniket, did we cater to the questions that came through the registration? You can reply in the chat box or just unmute yourself and let us know, please.
I think we have not replied to those, Alia, and I can see those questions, right? So, first of the question is hormonal weight gain and weight loss. Again, that is something that we've covered. Ghrelin and leptin is something that you have to take care of, and I think how to deal with stagnant weight is something that we covered. Hormonal factors in food. Alia, we have covered those questions here and there.
Yeah, I think more or less that has been covered. We don't seem to have any more questions coming in, so I think we can, uh, you know, what are okay, fine. Okay, yeah, I think we have took, taken care of those questions. So maybe we can, wrap up the session with this, and we would be more than happy to, generate like a summary out of the entire session, and we will be rolling it in our community. So anybody who has missed the session, they can at least get the vital inputs from there. Apart from that, the session is anyways gonna be plugged on our YouTube channel unlock.fit. So if anybody wants to go have like a recap or watch everything again, or show it to somebody, share it to somebody, I think it's gonna be available for them all the time. I think with that, we can, wrap the session up. Uh, Obviously, first and foremost, thank you so much, Tavleen, for taking out time for doing this. And I am sure that, everybody, like every household at least needs to watch this, because we gonna, any particular, female is gonna resonate with these stages, like I have said. I for sure am gonna share it in my family group tonight as well, so that they can at least watch, whoever couldn't join the session for today. So yeah, I think we request everybody to share it as much as possible. And of course, join us for the next session. We have monthly webinars, like I said. Next month we'll be coming up with another interesting topic. And feel free to give us and reach out to us for feedback also, if there's some particular, topic you want to talk about, and yeah, etc. So with that, let's call it, just wrap the session. And thank you, Tavleen. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining, whoever joined us. We are very glad that you're a part of this session. And see you all next month. So thank you. Bye bye. Have a good night.